One of the hot topics of conversation here at Code, stricter regulations around privacy, especially on the heels of GDPR. Here's Facebook COO Sheryl Sandberg last night.
It's not a question of people say, should Facebook be regulated? Should other companies in our industry be regulated? We are regulated. Regulation often actually entrenches big companies.
Yeah.
So GDPR, I think we've done a very good job complying with. We've put up expensive to build systems and tools. We're supportive of the right regulation that supports innovation, that is based on an understanding of the technology, and that is good for people.
Joining us now to talk about all this, Zillow Group CEO Spencer Rascoff. Spencer, great to have you. So what strikes you about the conversation so far this year? Not just up on stage, but in the halls.
Well, it's a bit of a wake-up moment for tech. I mean, this whole year has been obviously from the election hacking to different data and privacy scandals. I think what I have seen is tech realizing that there's just too much naivete in product design, that so many services in tech, the boundless optimism of entrepreneurs has made people not realize how these things can be used for evil. And we obviously saw it with Facebook, where it was hacked for the elections. And we saw it, I think, like early Uber, right? It was launched without rider protections. Early Airbnb launched without guest protections. Even now, these scooters that are taking over the West Coast, it never occurred to anyone that bad guys might cut the brakes on them. And now they're redesigning all these scooters to make sure that the brake wires inside the metal casing. So tech needs to realize that there are bad people out there, and they use these platforms for bad things.
Yesterday, Sheryl Sandberg stressed repeatedly, this is an open platform. They will do everything they can to try to prevent these things from happening, but they will never be able to prevent them entirely. Do you think they're doing enough?
I really think that the cultural shift that they talked about yesterday is real. I mean, you can see it in Sheryl's eyes. You can hear it in the Facebook executives that I talk to really have taken to heart. They feel guilt. They feel that their platform was used in a way that it was not designed for. And they really are throwing resources and intellect at the problem. And I actually, to the point of regulation, I think that's going to be the bigger impact than any potential regulation, is do these companies take seriously the impact of their platform? And yes, I do think Facebook has realized that. They've woken up.
So you think government regulation is sort of the answer here, or is this going to be like a self-correcting thing where entrepreneurs consider the use of their product as they're designing it?
Yeah, I think that there may be regulation, and maybe that's warranted. If there is regulation, I hope it's intelligent regulation. We're not off to a great start in that sense, but I do think more important than any potential regulation will be how companies, the attitude that employees and executives at these companies have about their services. The one thing that Sheryl said, I think, is worth pointing out is she said frequently regulation entrenches large companies. So let's make sure that any regulation that we have doesn't prevent the next Facebook that's being developed, hopefully by two girls in a garage somewhere. We need to make sure, with totally different privacy virtues in that product design, let's make sure that regulation doesn't prevent that. That's really what keeps companies honest.
Do you think they really mean that, though? Because at the same time, Facebook is crushing Snap, copying its features. Google is accused by Yelp and others of using search and manipulating it on the local level to block out competition. So they say, on the one hand, oh, we don't want bad regulation, but they're using their power in ways that the smaller guys.
Well, yeah, well, that's what companies do. Is they exert their influence to try to achieve certain outcomes. Sure, and I mean, there is definitely a role for a conversation between the private sector and government about all these things, and the conversation has started. As I say, I don't think we're off to a great start, but I want to make sure that if there is regulation, it's intelligent regulation. I think we have to make sure that startups and other, like Snap. I mean, yesterday Evan said, look, we have a totally different perspective on data retention. I think I forget what the phrase he used was. He said, we don't consolidate data, we relinquish it, or some such thing. And that's built into their product design, is a more user-centric view of data rights. So let's make sure that competition isn't out-regulated.
How is venture capital discounting all of this, right? Has this become more of the pitch process, explaining the risks around regulation and how your product may be used over time?
Oh, I think the way it impacts venture capital is it's very hard to get funded today with a digital media advertising business in the, as you said, Julia, the duopoly of digital advertising that is Google and Facebook. I mean, Zillow sells ads to real estate agents primarily. It would be pretty hard to get funded today with a business model around being in a vertical marketplace, aggregating audience, and selling digital advertising to X, Y, or Z in a Facebook, Google world.
So speaking of Zillow's business model, you primarily sell ads to real estate agents, but now you're also buying and selling real estate. It seems like this is a much riskier business.
It's a new business for us. We think of it like Netflix moving into originals. So it's a business extension. It leverages our data advantage. We know what types of houses people want to buy and sell. We are now buying houses in Phoenix and Las Vegas and selling them within a couple of weeks. We're doing a light remodel, getting the home ready for sale, and reselling it. We think that we can pre-market the home to buyers whose information, they are telling us what homes they want to buy. They've got saved searches set up. And as essentially a market maker in the buying of the home and reselling of the home, we think we can build a new business.
When Netflix does an original and it bombs, they just cancel it. You already own the home.
We do, and if it bombs, if we overpay for the home, we'll lose money on it. And we're obviously not. That's not our goal. Our goal is to make money on each transaction, but I'm sure there'll be some that we lose money on.
That remodel has got to be key because everybody wants to sell you a home for a little more than the Zestimate, and everybody's going to want to buy it for a little bit less.
So
right?
here's the insight. We're in an on-demand economy now. Press a button on your smartphone, have magic happen. Press a home, have a car arrive. Press a home, have food arrive. Press a button rather, and have something happen. So the angst, the work, the stress that sellers have to go through to sell their home, they want someone else to alleviate that stress. So we are doing it. We think of it as a service to a seller rather than a home flipping
But you
service.
haven't bought, you've bought a bunch, but you haven't sold any yet.
We have one that's listed so far. We bought about 20. The first one has already come out through the renovation. It's listed for sale in Phoenix for $425,000. Tell your friends. And the others will be coming out soon.
All right, Spencer, a lot more coming from the Code Conference. Great to have you
Thanks,
here.
John.
Spencer Rascoff of Zillow.
Hey there, thanks for checking out CNBC on YouTube. Be sure to subscribe to stay up to date on all of the day's biggest stories. You can also click on any of the videos around me to watch the latest from CNBC. Thanks for watching.